Okay, so every time you log in to look at class stuff, let me get rid of my PowerPoint here. You are, let me see if am I still sharing with you guys? Where'd it go? Oh, I'm sharing the wrong, there we go. Okay. Um, every time you log into class, you're gonna go into the Blackboard site. The things I'm gonna show you right now are things that you can find in Blackboard, but I'll briefly point them out in PDF format before we go into Blackboard. So the first thing that I'll mention is, because I got some questions about this, is our course syllabus. TCC doesn't call them a syllabus, they call them the instructor's class requirements, or the ICR. So if you're looking for a syllabus, and that's what I call it in Blackboard because that's what we're used to, this is what the document's going to look like. So some of the kinds of information you'll find on the syllabus that's posted in Blackboard, scroll down here to the third page, general information about the class. So for example, I don't require you to purchase a textbook for the class. And honestly, when I talk to a lot of my students, on site or online, they don't really use the textbook. If you think that you're a textbook person, what I would recommend is right now at the beginning of the semester, you can find our textbook for free online. So there's a link inside our syllabus to get to the online free textbook. If you think that you're going to use it, maybe check yourself during the first unit and see how often you actually go to the textbook. It's available for free. If you decide that you want to purchase it, I would recommend buying it from Amazon because Amazon sells a color version. The one that the bookstore has is black and white printed. It's not super high quality in my opinion. So I would recommend if you decide you want to buy a textbook, go ahead and buy it from Amazon. Here's your information about that textbook. For lab, there is not a required or optional textbook. You're going to be using worksheets that we've created in-house. So those worksheets are available for you to print, and I'll show you there's two places to get to them. But those worksheets are available for you to print. You'll fill them out each week and use them as your study guide. So that's what's going on with lab. Same thing for lecture, actually. I also have created for you guys outlines that you're going to fill in as you go through with those guided lessons that I've created for you. So part of the reason why I don't have a required textbook for my class is because honestly, I really think it's a better use of your money to buy a printer. So if you don't have a printer at home right now, I really think you should consider purchasing one. It doesn't have to print in color, but color might be helpful. So consider buying yourself a color printer with the money you would have spent on an anatomy textbook. I honestly think that a printer is a better use of your money than the textbook, especially because that textbook is available for free right here. So first thing on the syllabus, what do you need for lecture and for lab? The short answer is a printer. This is an online course, obviously, as we're meeting today online. The big thing that you need to make sure that you have that may be new for you is a webcam. When we take exams, you will have to have your webcam on. I promise you I'm not going to be watching, but we do have a monitoring service that watches, and if things look a little bit suspicious, they're going to flag it for me, and then I'll go back and watch you. So as long as you're not doing anything suspicious during your exam, I will never watch your exam recording, but we do have to have a webcam to make sure that that exam is secure. We do also need to have software, Microsoft Office stuff. So that's things like Word, for example. You're going to turn in some typed assignments to me. I think you can save, so my Mac friends can probably confirm this for me. I believe you can save things that are written in the Mac version of word processing as a PDF. You can submit things to me in PDF format. You can submit them to me in doc format, but I can't accept pages because I don't have a Mac, so I can't open pages. If that makes no sense to you, you probably have a PC and you're probably good. But for my Mac friends, if you have any questions, feel free to email me. The easiest way to make sure you're in good shape is to make sure that you have Microsoft Office downloaded onto your computer, and that is available for free for TCC students. So again, feel free to send me questions about that if you don't already have Office on your computer. I had a question in the chat about returning the lab outlines or the lecture outlines and the lab sheets to me. No, you will not be sending them back to me. I will not be checking them. If you have particular questions that you have blanks that you can't figure out and that your friends in GroupMe can't help you figure out too, I would be happy to help you find those answers. But I do not grade those for you. Those are strictly for your reference. It's basically the way if we were in class together, it's how you would take notes if we were in class together. Andrea asked if we can use notes on the exams. We cannot. So exams will be closed notes, closed book, closed all resources. If there is anything out on your desk, including a phone or a smartwatch or those kind of things, that will result in a failing grade on the exam. So no resources for those exams. Got a question about webcams built into a computer. That's totally fine too. So as long as there's some way for your computer to make a recording when you're taking the exam, whether that's a built-in camera like I have on my laptop or whether that's a webcam, either of those would work. And then Karina asked if it was okay to send them back in black and white. Again, I'm not going to be checking the homework assignments, or at least the lab worksheets. So you can totally print them in black and white and reference them that way. That's totally fine. But you don't ever have to send those back to me. Yeah, and so I'll talk a little bit more about this. There was a question about homework assignments and labs are what we turn in. So I'll show you guys this in Blackboard. Almost everything that you are submitting to me is going to be kind of a multiple choice fill in the blank type assignment in Blackboard. There will be a couple of written assignments that you'll be submitting to me. And so that's where we need to have the Microsoft Word. So there's an assignment, for those of you that have browsed around, there's an assignment called Current Events in Anatomy. That one you'll be typing for me. But most of the other assignments for lecture and lab are going to be assignments that as soon as you submit them, it will mark for you what your score was on the assignment, so you can go back and do it again. You can revise your work, essentially. Oh, awesome. Edward posted in the chat for us a link to help out my Mac friends. So I'm going to actually steal that link too to save for later. If you have a Mac and you need to convert your Pages documents into a format that I can read so I can give you credit, Edward posted a link there, and I will try to get that posted in Blackboard as well. Thank you, Edward. That's super helpful. All right, the next place on our syllabus that you might want to browse, it's not super long, but it would probably be helpful for you, is the section here about requirements. So just to give you an idea of what you should and shouldn't be doing in the class, please make sure you're staying on top of the course calendar and having an idea of when things are due. In general, I don't do makeup assignments. I do at the end of the semester drop some assignments. So 2 of your lecture assignments at the very end of the semester will be dropped. 2 of your lab assignments at the end of the semester will be dropped. So if you miss an assignment, I probably won't let you make it up because we're dropping assignments at the end. So just make sure we're staying on top of things. That time management, right, that we said we were a little bit nervous about. We'll look at a calendar together to help you manage your time. But in general, we can't make things up, especially not the lecture or lab exams. Those dates are already set and they're available for you in the calendar. So if you look at that calendar right now and you say, oh my gosh, I know that I am not going to be able to take exam number 1 when it's scheduled. As my note mentions here, sometimes we can take an exam early, but we really can't take exams late in general. So please get in touch with me as soon as possible if you know that something is not going to work. But what I'll tell you is you've got a 48-hour window to take an exam. So that's a long time to plan to have something, to plan to have a little 2-hour window inside there to get that exam taken. And the other thing I'll mention for you too is at the end of the semester, we do take a cumulative final exam. Before you freak out, I don't make you know everything for that cumulative final exam. I'll give you a list of the learning objectives that you need to know, basically what you should study. If your score on them is higher than on that final exam is higher than one of your other lecture exams during the semester, I will actually replace that lower lecture exam score with your final exam score. So keep that in mind. If we have a lot of trouble on one of the exams, if one of the units gives us a lot of trouble, if we learn it better by the end of the semester, I will replace that score. That's also in there as well to help you out if for some reason you do have to miss one of the exams. We can replace it with that final exam score. So keep that in mind. Yeah, so I just answered that one question about replacing it. So we're going to take 4 unit exams, and then we will also take the final exam. And I'll mention this up front because I got this question a lot in the summer. Yes, everybody has to take the final exam, because if you don't, it's going to drop your grade like 10%. So don't skip the final exam. It goes into your grades separate from the test. So we take a total of 5 tests. 4 of them are regular unit exams. 1 of them is the final exam. Can we take exams on the phone if we're not at home? Mitchell asked. I don't believe that you can because of the exam proctoring. I will make a note to check into that. The other thing I'll mention too is if you know that you will be traveling when there's an exam and you only have a desktop computer, TCC does have some technology that they are loaning out to students for the semester, including devices that would have a webcam on them that you could take with you. So to answer your question, Mitchell, I think you have to have a computer. TCC might be able to get you one, but I will look into that. I'm guessing we can't take exams on the phone though. I'll get you a solid answer and let you know for sure though. All right, so I'm gonna scroll down a little bit. Some information for you about study time. I think that there's more detailed information in the document I prepared for you guys, but long story short, pretend like this is an on-site class, even though it's online. You're gonna have to do just as much work for our online class as you would have had to do if we were in person. So anatomy is always a course that's gonna take quite a bit of time. It's going to take just as much time or even more when we're online. So give yourself plenty of time, and please make sure that you're communicating with your classmates and with me. So always feel free to email me. I will try to get a response back to you in 24 hours. Some of you may have noticed this. My prime email time, unfortunately, is like 10:30 at night when both of the children are in bed. So you might get an email late at night, but I do really try to respond within 24 hours. And I'm going to show you guys GroupMe. I think that some of you have already found it. GroupMe is a way for you to connect with each other via text message. It's the way I describe it is it's kind of like you swapped numbers with your classmates, except nobody actually has your phone number. So you can connect with all the other people that are taking this class with you. So if you have a question at 2 in the morning about an assignment that you just can't figure out, you can shoot out a message in GroupMe, and I would bet there's going to be at least 1 or 2 classmates that are up that might have an answer. So I'll show you this more when we're in the Blackboard site, but I would definitely recommend you guys join the GroupMe chat. That's going to be a way for you to connect with each other. As a heads up, I am not actually checking GroupMe. So don't send a message to me in GroupMe because I will never see it. This is a way for you to chat with your classmates. In addition to our little breakout groups that we did, you can also send each other text messages in GroupMe. This would be an important page for you to make a note of for yourself. So figuring out your grade in the class, you get 1 grade that includes lecture and lab. So 70% of your grade comes from lecture, 30% comes from lab. We have a variety of different things we're going to use in lecture and lab to determine those grades. So like we've already talked about, we're going to take 4 lecture exams during the semester, 4 regular exams. We will also take a lecture final exam. So everybody's got to take that final exam because it's 10% of your course grade. If that final exam score is higher than one of your other lecture exam scores, I will replace it so we can bump up the grade that way. You're going to be doing homework assignments every single week for lecture to keep you on track. Those are worth 40% of your course grade. And then we're doing a couple of different, I'm calling them projects. They're basically written assignments. So current events and anatomy that I mentioned, and then we're going to do a little bit of group work together in what we call wiki pages. So those are 10% of your lecture grade. So 70% of your grade comes from lecture. It's going to be those exams and then those 2 types of homework assignments. In lab, we're taking two major exams, midterm halfway through the semester, and then the final exam at the end. We have 2 kinds of homework assignments. Some of them will be in Blackboard, just like the lecture homework assignments. Some of them will also be in software called Visible Body. So this 50% is actually going to be split between Visible Body and between our Blackboard assignments. In general, assignments are always going to be due either on Friday evenings or on Sunday evenings. So the reasoning for that is to not let you wait until Sunday to do all your work for the week. So when we have a due date, it's always going to be right before midnight, 11:59 p.m. As a fair warning, say you've got an exam that you have 2 hours to complete. Don't wait to start that exam until 11 at night. Because then you'd be submitting it late. It's going to flag it as late for me. If you have an exam that has 2 hours for it, plan to start it by 10, just to make sure you have plenty of time. You can use all of your course time. It is going to be really important that your internet connection is stable, especially when you're taking those exams, because if your internet dies, like mine already died this morning, right? If your internet dies, probably it's going to kick you out of your test. So please make sure that you're plugged in to the wall, if you can, to your internet directly, or just make sure you have a strong internet connection when you're taking the exam. Because those proctored exams, like I said, it's going to kick you back out, and then you're going to frantically have to get in touch with me to try to get back into that exam. So just be aware of that. Course dates, I'm going to show you a calendar, so this isn't super helpful for you. I think that is, and then just some information about the exams on here, or the assignments and the exams. On all of the assignments we're completing for lecture and lab, you have unlimited attempts, which means you take it the first time and you get a 75. You can take it 10 more times until you get a 100. Or you can keep taking it until it's a score that you're happy with. So I will always take your highest score on the assignment. So for all of those multiple choice fill in the blank type assignments, you can submit it as many times as you would like to help you have practice and also to increase your score. If it's a written assignment, you only get 1 submission on those because I have to manually grade them. So I'm not going to be able to grade it as fast as you submit it. So just be aware for any of those multiple choice type assignments that it grades for you right away. You can just keep doing it until you are good. I believe that is it on the syllabus. I'm not going to go through and talk about all, here's another document for you that honestly, this one's probably more helpful than the syllabus. I'm not going to talk through all the parts on here. But this is a document I prepared for you since we're in an online class. It talks about a lot of different things. So we'll talk about our course schedule a little bit more. This was written before we had those dates set. Here's a number to kind of keep in the back of your mind. It may take you 15 to 20 hours a week of work to study in this class. That includes some time in class, that includes your work time at home. So when we talk about time management, consider that we might be spending about 15 to 20 hours a week on this class, which I know is a lot. But if we plan for that and it takes less to learn our stuff, we're in good shape. Connecting with instructor via email, or we'll talk about that GroupMe, like I mentioned, some information about GroupMe. Let me see if there's anything else that I won't show you in Blackboard. Someone had a question about the exams. It is just one attempt on those exams. That is correct. Here's a breakdown of that grading system for you, by the way, at the bottom of page 3 of this document. So there's that. And I'll mention for you too, I know it's the worst thing in the world to be at like an 89.6 at the end of the semester. I do round up to an A for an 89.6, or I round up to a B for 79.5 and above. 69.5 and above is a C. So here's your grading scale. If you're on the fence between a letter grade, so 0.5 or above, I will round you up. So you got a little bit of wiggle room right there. Let me pause for a moment and see what questions we have at this point. I know I've caught some of them as we've been going through. What questions do we have before we look at the schedule and Blackboard? So the question is, what do we do if we can't find the answers? I do not post the answers, that's correct. Part of why I don't post the answers is because I don't have a document with the answers made. So a couple of options if you're having trouble finding the answers for a lab sheet or for a lecture sheet. First option is to contact your classmates in GroupMe and say, hey, this particular blank or this particular question is giving me a lot of trouble. Where did you guys find the answer? Or here's the answer that I think is right and it's flagging it as wrong. Help me, kind of thing. So first option is to go to GroupMe. Second option is also to connect with me during my open office hours when I don't have anything in particular scheduled. You can come with those questions and we can work through the resources together to find the answers. I am one of those mean teachers that will never give you the answer. And I know it can frustrate my students, but we'll work together to find where it is in either the lecture or the lab resources. So be aware that I'm totally cool with helping you complete some of the specific parts of those outlines or those assignments, but I will never actually give you the answer. I'm sorry, I'm too mean like that. Alicia, there should not have been a due date from yesterday. Are you talking Invisible Body or Blackboard that it told you you missed an assignment? Our first set of assignments should be due, Visible Body assignment should be the first thing that's due on Friday of this week. There should not have been anything due yet. So let me know where that assignment said that it was, and we'll see if we can get that fixed for you. I'm going to show you the lecture schedule just to give you an idea of what you should be talking about or studying, excuse me, each week. This will also be a good guide to let you know generally what we'll be covering in our lecture sessions together. So this week right now, you're doing lesson number 1. That's anatomy versus physiology. So what's the difference between those two things? That's our lesson for this week. Next week, we're doing the lesson called Introduction to the Cell. That's lesson number 2, number 3, and number 4. These first 4 lessons are what's included on exam number 1. Now, this schedule shows you, again, what topics or what lessons you should be completing each week. It also lists for you the homework assignments for lecture that are related to those lessons. So if you want to know, have I completed everything I need to for the Introduction to the Cell lesson? Well, there's 2 activities we need to do for Introduction to the Cell. We need to do the lesson number 2 homework, and we need to do the water intoxication homework assignment. For most of your lessons, there's just going to be one Blackboard-based homework assignment. For some of them, there might be an extra Blackboard-based assignment. Or if you notice here in week 1, I'm also having you guys do your first group wiki to make sure that you know how to edit that information, how to put that in. So the lecture schedule just gives you kind of a big picture look at what you should be doing. Might not be a bad one for you to print, just so you know where we're at in the semester and what you should be working on. 100% recommend, without a shadow of a doubt, that you should print this one right here. This one's called the assignment checklist, and it is exactly what its name says. This is a way for you to keep track of what you should be completing and when. So notice the first due date on here, August 28th. That's this Friday. What is due this Friday is your first visible body assignment. On Sunday, we have our first round of lecture stuff due, and we also have a Blackboard assignment due for lab as well. So we need to complete lesson number 1 and the extra learning activity of lesson number 1 by midnight on Sunday. We also need to complete that first group wiki assignment, and we need to complete our first lab Blackboard assignment. So notice for lab, there's only ever 2 kinds of assignments, either a visible body assignment, which is always due on Friday, or a Blackboard assignment, always due on Sunday. And for your lecture assignments, again, they're always either due on Friday or they're due on Sunday. So this, again, is a checklist for you to go through. So some of you have already gone in and you've already completed the lesson number 1 homework. You can put a check in this box and know that this assignment's done. I'm good for that due date. Some of you have done the brown fat versus white fat assignment. You put a check there. It's a quick visual way for you to see, what do I need to complete and when do I need it completed by. So again, 100% recommend you print this page, because this is what I've built for you guys to help you stay on track, to know when things are due. The only oddball in terms of due dates are when we take exams. So lecture exams are always going to open up at 12:01, wee early hours of the morning on Mondays, and they will close at 11:59 on Tuesday night. You've got a 48-hour window to complete them. So you'll notice that exams are going to close on Tuesdays. That's for lecture exams, that's for the lab exams, I think across the board, except maybe the last one. The only exam that's a little bit funky is exam number 4, our last unit exam, and that one is due on a Friday. I wanted to try to stick with our due dates being about the same. So that's due on a Friday. So again, check out this calendar. It not only has the names of the assignments for you, it also has the date that they're due and the day of the week that they're due. Let me check out my chat here. I still don't know if I heard from Alicia or Antonella whether that was a visible body or a Blackboard something that told you it was due yesterday. So let me know for sure. We are going to talk about where it is. I'll show you that. Gloria mentioned she finished one of the assignments. Let's see. Oop, I lost it. Where'd it go? I finished my assignment for Unit 1. So I don't know if I quite understand your question, Gloria, but I'll show you where all of those assignments are in Blackboard. Everything, yeah, so everything in Unit number 1 is included on exam number 1. So you'll notice at the beginning of each lecture handout and at the beginning of each assignment that there's a list of what we call learning objectives. Think of that as your study guide for that exam. So all of the learning objectives that are on something from unit number 1, so lessons number 1 through 4, each have a learning objective list. Those are all included, as well as this water intoxication assignment and this brown fat versus white fat assignment. They both have learning objectives as well. If you organize your information and know your information for each of those learning objectives, that's what you need for exam 1. So then everything after exam 1, starting with the lesson number 5 homework all the way up through here, that's what you need to know for exam number 2. And then everything from unit 3 is what's going to be on that exam. So this also gives you an idea of what to reference when you're studying for those exams. Let's see. Yeah, I'll talk to you about visible body when it's asking about the code. Okay, got it, Gloria. So that you didn't actually have an issue. That's perfect. I just want to make sure this is our first semester using visible body. So I want to make sure visible body wasn't telling you that you had an assignment already due. Jacqueline, if you can make me a list of the assignments that say 3 limit, that would be helpful for me to know. They are always unlimited. In the past, it's been a 3 limit. and I thought I deleted all the terminology related to that, but if you can let me know which ones you found that still say it's 3, that's a text error, but the settings are set to allow you to do it an unlimited number of times. So for all of these assignments, except for the wiki and current events and anatomy, you can 100% do it as many times as you'd like. Same thing with visible body and the Blackboard lab assignments. The text might be funky from an old semester. So like I mentioned, if you can let me know which ones that still say that, I will make sure to go in and delete that information. All right, I want to pull up Blackboard. Oh, Monica's got a question. Go for it, Monica.
Sorry. So anything that's lecture, I get it. You said anything between lecture 1 through lecture 4 would be on exam 1, but just want to verify lab would all be separate. So anything for week 1 through week 6 would be on the lab midterm exam, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. So the lab midterm exam, since we only take 2 exams, it's the first half of the semester and it's the second half of the semester. So everything from weeks 1 through 6 is on that lab midterm exam. Everything from weeks 8 through 12, I think, or 13, week 8 through 13 is on that final exam. And I'll mention this too, because I get this question a lot. Material from lab is generally just on the lab exam. It's not going to be on a lecture exam. There is an exception to that rule, and I'll mention this multiple times for us. When you're doing lesson number 2, you'll see that your lecture outline mentions that the organelles and their functions that are primarily covered in the lab assignment are included on the first lecture exam. So for the most part, like for example, later in the semester, we're going to learn bone markings. I am not going to ask you about bone markings on a lecture test. I'll ask you about them on a lab test. I'm not going to ask you about them on a lecture test. So if there's any bleed over between lab content and lecture content, I will explicitly tell you that. Otherwise, in general, we study this material for lecture, we study this material for lab to prepare for those exams and assignments. Let's see. I had a question. I'm not sure what reviews that you're mentioning, Jacqueline, but I generally don't give answers carte blanche. We can talk about answers together if there's specific questions, but I'm not usually going to give. Let me put it this way. If there's something that I could just give you as opposed to work on with you, I probably won't give it to you. I'll probably make you work with me on it. So I'm sorry. I'm one of those mean teachers. Yes, Hunter, all of the exams we take in our class will be proctored. So we need to make sure that we have a webcam for all of the exams. Okay, so you're asking about the review assignments. Review assignments automatically grade. So you will see if you got it right or wrong as soon as you finish it. It'll let you know if you were right or wrong. So you'll get those, you'll be able to see that is correct. And then I got a question. Yes, so then the other question is about these wiki assignments. The goal of the wiki assignments is to help you review for the exams. So to make you write down your information in a new way from unit number 1. So that's absolutely correct that you're going to be working with your group of classmates to build kind of like reviews or like study guides for particular parts of each unit. So I'm not going to go through, I'm not going to have time to go through and grade those probably until after you've taken the exam, but we want to check our groups or our group submission to make sure it's correct. It is supposed to be a learning activity for us. We'll get to have some class time where we split into small groups, but in general, you're studying by yourself. So by having these group wikis, the goal is to give you a space to collaborate with your classmates, make sure everyone understands, to make sure that we've got the right answers on our group wiki assignments. The exams are graded by the computer. So you will get your score as soon as the exam is done. You won't be able to review your exam. We'll have to schedule a time if you want to ask about your exam. We can schedule a time together to talk about questions, but you will get a percentage score as soon as you finish the exam. And a question about how we split into groups for those group assignments. The computer does it for you. So I don't select the groups, the computer mixed you up. You've already actually have your first group in there for the first 2 assignments. So in the groups area, you'll be mixed up with some classmates to be in that group. There's I would say a 99% chance that any groups that we make here in Blackboard when we're meeting together, you will probably not be in a group with those people on your wiki, just because there's so many students to pull from to make the groups in Blackboard. But maybe you bump into the same person. But yeah, the computer assigns those groups for me. Okay, so I've got 8 minutes to give you guys a crash course in Blackboard. I will mention now that I am also going to host a session this evening, and since we've spent so much time talking about this stuff, tonight I will spend more time in Blackboard. So at 5 o'clock today, if you still have Blackboard questions that you want to come talk about, 100% I'm going to spend more time on that and a little bit less time on some of these PDF documents. So let me give you guys the crash course in Blackboard, and we'll do more Blackboard stuff tonight. So let me close my PDFs. Let's see if I put my Blackboard site. Nope. I do love the mountains, in case you can't tell. All right, let's pull this over. There we go. Okay. So when you log into Blackboard, this is what you see. I am one of those instructors that likes to talk your ear off in announcements. So you're going to see announcements probably 2 or 3 every week. So I posted one last night for you. That was kind of our introduction to week 1. Notice that we got an email or a message this morning from our supplemental instructor. Her name's Elise. She is excellent, and she will help you study and succeed in our anatomy class. So please check your TCC email. She got a link for you sent to help schedule some times for supplemental instruction. This is a time when you can get together with your classmates and get together with someone who's taken the class before. Elise has taken the class before, and she's going to do learning activities with you to reinforce what you're working on. She's going to help you really understand it in a better, richer way. So please do take that survey for her to get supplemental instruction up and going. Karina, you don't have to, but if you want to come back at 5, I'll have more time to go through things. Question is, should I come back at 5 to learn about Blackboard? If you feel like you still have questions, maybe do that. Briefly mention for you, hopefully all of us have been into the Start Here section of Blackboard. This is where you're going to find things like the syllabus that we looked at. Here is the assignment checklist and the course schedule. Like I mentioned for you guys, we looked at those, both of those. Print both of them. That'd be really helpful. Here's that reference document about how to succeed in our online class. And if you need a webcam, if you need a computer, if you need something to have what you need for this course, please click on this link as soon as possible. The link that says, how do I get technology? TCC does have a limited number of devices that they're lending out to students. So if you don't have what you need to succeed in this class, let's see if TCC can get it for you as soon as possible. And I mentioned that GroupMe area. So if you click on this, probably from your phone would be better than your computer. But if you have a GroupMe account, you can click here and join the group for our class. Again, it is a way to exchange numbers without actually exchanging numbers. So nobody gets to keep your phone number when we're done with this class. But this is a great way to connect with your classmates. And I know that Elise, our supplemental instructor, will also be in there to kind of remind you of due dates, keep you on track, that kind of stuff here. So that's all in the Start Here section. You are going to spend all of your time pretty much either in lecture resources or lab resources. We are here in Unit 1 right now. Notice that our first exam in this class, the Unit 1 exam, is Tuesday, September 22nd. That's when it's due by. So it'll open on the 21st, close on the 22nd. You can go in right now and do as much of Unit 1 as you want to. You can do it in whatever order you want to do it in, but I would strongly recommend working your way through everything in lesson number 1 before you move into lesson number 2, because the content builds on itself. So for lesson number 1, everything has to be done by Sunday of this upcoming Sunday, so the August 30th. So to give you a general idea of what you should do for lesson number 1, here's basically a checklist for you. So we want to get that outline, we want to work through the guided lesson, then we want to work on the homework assignment. All of that is kind of self-contained. Then we've got an application activity for this particular unit, or for this particular lecture, and that's brown fat versus white fat. So the two kinds of fat you have in the body, they're different in their appearance and they're different in their function. So print off that activity sheet, read the article that goes with it, and do the homework assignment. And then the last thing to do is to start learning about those wiki projects. So if you notice over here in my table of contents, you can click your way through. Here's my outline for lesson number 1. Download this and print it so that you can write your answers on it. Here's a link for you, and I'll show you. This is your guided lesson for lecture number 1. I mentioned learning objectives for you. This is basically your study guide. So what I expect you to be able to do once you've completed this activity. So notice that all of your lessons are going to start with a defined learning objective. I will never ask you a question on the test, tell me what anatomy is. But I will ask a question on the test that expects that you know what anatomy is. So I might say, which of these is an example of anatomy, not physiology? You need to know what anatomy means. You need to know what physiology means. But basically what this list is for is to make sure that you know all of the words that might be new to you in this learning objective. So don't spend a ton of time memorizing definitions. I'm never going to ask you a memorized definition. And then underneath that list of new terms, basically, is all of the particular learning activities that we're doing in that lesson. So explaining how anatomy and physiology are related, explaining how I can see this in bones, or how I can see this in blood vessels, or how I can see this in teeth. So use this as a way, once you've completed the learning activity, use these learning objectives as a way for you to build yourself a study guide of all the information that we covered in the assignment. So if you notice, I'll click to the first page of this lesson here. So there are blanks in the lesson outline that you understand that are going to ask you to explain what anatomy is. Well, here's a description for you of what anatomy is. And then down below it, we start talking about physiology, what physiology is. You have to summarize that and put that on your lesson outline. So you'll see guided lessons that walk you through the content in these areas. You'll also see some practice activities. So these activities are not for a grade. I'm not going to see them in the grade book, but if you want to make sure that you understand, like I mentioned, we're looking only for the anatomy and not the physiology. Put a checkbox next to all the ones that you think are just anatomy and not physiology, and then you can check yourself, make sure you understand. So these learning activities are what you need to be working through to start covering the content. As we come to our live sessions together, I am going to assume that you've done at least a little bit of work on here, and your classmates are going to assume that you've done at least a little bit of work, because when I split you up into those breakout groups, we're going to be talking about stuff together. I'm not going to lecture through this stuff since you have it available to you. So do make sure to go through and look at these activities, use them to fill in your lesson outlines to help you prepare for our class times. So let me bounce back to Blackboard. This lesson for you is right here. Can't zoom it out, sorry. The online guided learning activity to help you fill in those blanks. Once you've filled in the blanks in your outline, then you go here to your first assignment. So this assignment, notice you've got unlimited attempts. You can do it as many times as you want, but the highest scoring attempts that you submit by Sunday, August 30th at 11:59, that is going to be the attempt that you get a grade for. So I'm not going to go into this assignment because you can do it on your own, but you click there to get into the assignment, and it's multiple choice, it's matching, it's fill in the blank, that kind of stuff. Let me look at, I got a couple of questions. Yeah, so your final grade on everything shows up in Blackboard. That is correct. The last thing I'm going to mention right now, and I know I'm sorry we didn't get through all of Blackboard, but the last thing I want to mention for you, We are going to do group assignments, or they're called wiki pages on the calendar. The first wiki page that we're doing to make sure you can find where they are and make sure you can do them, that's due by Sunday. Now, the nice thing about this first group wikis project is it's literally just personal questions. So questions like, how has your life changed since COVID-19? Or what online classes have you taken prior to this one? It's not content questions. I make sure you can find the wiki pages, and I want to make sure that you can enter your answers into those pages. So when you click on group assignments in the table of contents here and you click to launch, it's not going to work for me. But when you click here, it's going to take you to a page that says unit number 1 group. When you click on that, go to your wiki and you can put in your answers right away. So this first wiki is just a, can we find where the wikis are and can we put our information in them? So that's the last kind of thing that you'll see from right here. I'll mention, because I know not all of us can make it to the session tonight, I'll talk about some of the other stuff more tonight, but I'll mention here on lab resources really fast. Many of you have asked about visible body. So TCC has purchased access for you for visible body. We're going to have homework assignments in here, and I'm going to use this a lot during our virtual sessions related to lab. You can go now and enroll in visible body. Start a 2-week trial right now. I am in communication with the bookstore about getting you guys your access codes for visible body. You do not have to pay $50. The school has covered that cost for you. So if you click on here right now to get enrolled in the courseware site, say that you want to start your 2-week free trial, and I will get you that access code probably by the end of the week. But in the interim, while you're waiting for that code, do that free trial. You can access all of the resources, including that homework assignment. There's 2 of them actually that are due on Friday. So visible body is outside of our Blackboard site. Here, I'll pull up my visible body account for you. Close your eyes because it's going to look a little different here at the beginning. Oh, actually, it went straight into it. Let's see. Here's your course that you'll see when you log into visible body. It's going to be lined up for you week by week, just like you see for lecture. So here in week 1, we've got a couple of assignments that are due by Friday. So please make sure we have created an account with Visible Body. We started that free trial, and then we can go in and do these assignments as many times as we'd like. So I will play with these more during our live session today at 5. If you'd like to come back. Otherwise, I will be recording that session too, if you would like to watch that recording at a time that's better for you. So more information to come about Visible Body, but here's where you're going to click to enroll. Once you have clicked here to enroll, then every other time you go into Visible Body, you'll use this link down here. So this is the link that we'll use to log in each time. I know I probably didn't answer all the questions you guys wanted or you still have, and I know I'm a little bit over 11. So yeah, great question. The question is, where are we going to find recordings of this session and of other sessions? The place you're going to find recordings, see over here where we all clicked to get to office hours, so virtual office hours. When I click on that, here's the schedule that tells you what we're covering in each session. I'm going to update that weekly. Here's where you clicked to get into our session today, virtual class sessions. Resources from virtual office hours, this folder right here. After class today, when this morning's session has been processed, I'm going to post it to YouTube and put a link here for you to access it. So every time that we have a scheduled class session, I'll make a recording and I will put that here in this folder right here. So we got to it through virtual office hours and this folder that says resources from virtual office hours. So tonight I'll post that recording. Our next live session, as a quick note, we are going to have a live session this week. Not usually, but this week we will on Wednesday morning, because I want to make sure we have time to do a lecture session and a lab session this week. So Wednesday morning at 9:30, we will cover lab stuff. Thursday morning at 9:30, we're going to cover lecture stuff for this week. But download this schedule, check it out to see what you should be doing before each of these sessions and to get an idea of what we might be talking about during those sessions. So that was in the schedules folder. And again, I'm going to post those recording from this one as soon as possible right here, resources from virtual office hours. All right, so in closing, any other quick questions? And again, I apologize. I know we didn't get everything in Blackboard that you wanted to get to, so I will spend more time in Blackboard this evening. Thank you, Jacqueline. That's sweet. I'm happy to help you guys in any way that I can. So please be in touch. Please be around for those live sessions as you can be. Oh, good, Vanessa. I'm glad to hear you're excited. I should put back up those skeletons, right, and see where we're at now, which skeleton we relate to, the thinking skeleton or the waving skeleton. I don't know, that wine skeleton is pretty appealing, although it's too early in the morning for the wine skeleton, right? Ariel, so I'm guessing, are you in the class that Dr. Adams is your lab instructor? I realized when I saw a question about that. Yes, okay. So Ariel, you won't get the email about setting the schedule for SI because technically Elise is just assigned to my other section. However, when she gets those sessions scheduled, I will make sure that you know when they are too, so that you can pop in to work with it. So you won't get announcements from her directly, but I will mention when you're here in the Start Here area, I will update the link when she builds her fall schedule. There's a thing that says right here about your supplemental instructor. When Elise has updated her schedule for the fall semester, I'll make sure to update this link right here. Right now, I'll show you it links to the stuff she did for my summer students. So let me just pull it up. We're getting a new one here for the fall. So notice that this is the stuff she did for the summer. So when she gets the fall one up, I'll make sure that it's still linking for your class too, so that you can get to those resources. But you probably won't receive announcements from her since technically she's not supporting that class. But I'll get you access to her so that you can still get those resources. And yes, Vanessa, I like that. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. Yep. It'll be 5 o'clock here in 6 hours. So yeah, and then for my friends who are in my section with Dr. Adams as your lab instructor, yes, she will also have live sessions. Her live sessions are going to be on Friday at the time that your lab was normally scheduled to meet. So I think that's like 12:45 to 2:35 maybe. There should be a note in Blackboard about when those sessions are with Dr. Adams for all my friends who are in her lab. So check that out. You'll see for my friends with Dr. Adams as a lab instructor, let me just pop this up to show you. In the Start Here area, you will also see an extra note underneath it about your lab instructor. So some of you have Dr. Adams as your lab instructor, and her contact information and some information about her is listed underneath me. All right. I'm probably going to go ahead and stop our recording for now. I will stick around for a bit if you have more questions, but I hope to see many of you again tonight. We will talk more about Blackboard this evening.